Hey guys, it's Tara. Today I'm going to bring you a really quick bowstring practice. I'm going to focus on the low back. I've had a lot of requests for the low back lately. And if you have a low back like flare up, be really mindful. Don't do anything that hurts more. But if it does hurt more, it's complicated. Okay, so dive into it, see what's happening. Oftentimes, if you can widen and tone your glutes, lift them upward, widen and broaden the back of the ribs. So instead of like going into a back bend type thing, lift up the bottom most ribs, which are down here pretty low, lift them up, and then you'll have like a lift and space between the glutes. So now when the pelvis tucks under and flattens, you're gonna use the low back more. So push the knees wide, lift up through the glutes, lift up through the low back, and you'll find a bit more relief. And try that in the pose, and if it doesn't work, come out of it. Don't irritate it more, not worth it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right. Let's start on your feet. So bringing your feet underneath your hips, gently look down, push your big toe down, squeeze your heels in, lifting the arches of the feet up. Let the knees come forward and bring the hands to the thighs. Allow the back of the ribs to rise upward. So instead of sinking down, lift up, push the ribs to the right, lifting the right shoulder. And then to the left, lift the left shoulder away from the hips. Exhale through center, inhale, reach the right armpit forward, the left femur bone back, and then switch once more. Pressing into your feet, squeeze your heels in, make your way up, bringing the hands to the hip creases, making sure there's a little bend here instead of the hips forward, no bend. Little bend here. You can bring the hands to the back of the glutes, gently sit and lift up. You don't want to sit so much that you're flattening here. So a little different between this and here. So a gentle curve in the low back is encouraged, tipping the pelvis forward, broaden through the elbows. And now keep that. Imagine you still had your hands there. Bring the hands to the low ribs. Breathe into the fingers if you can and expand the back bottom ribs and literally lift the flesh up away from the hips. And you can lift up through the right side, through the left side. Breathing here. Softly release the arms forward and then continue this. Imagine you still had hands on the hips and on the low ribs, lift up and out of the pelvis. And now imagine a string on the top of the head, lift up, breathe. Step your feet wider than your mat. Bend your knees, push your upper femur bones back, press into the paw of your foot, the front of the foot. Bend the knees, bring the fingertips all the way down, and then gently walk your way forward. Bring the hands to the width of the mat, step your feet on your mat, but keep the feet wide. And go ahead and pedal out the feet, breathe, move the knees, the hips. And then without dropping the ribs, press the elbows wide, inflate the back of the heart, bring the knees down gently. Untuck the toe, draw the top of the foot forward, lifting the ankle. Press the knees wide as you sit back, and then pull the hands towards the knees, elbows press wide, reach the head forward and long. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, expand, find length and space. Exhaling back. Inhale forward, tuck your right toe, lift your right knee. The left foot will come back behind you off of your mat. Slide the hips back so far that you can bring your right fingernails to your mat. And then allow the ribs to rise as the head drops down towards the floor. Lift the chin away from the chest. Exhale, reach the hips back. Inhale, reach the right arm really long, very spacious. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, find space. Right hand comes to the right hip. Lift the hip up and let the belly bow forward and let it lengthen. Exhale back without tucking the tailbone. Inhale, find space. Keep this idea. Now bring the hand to the thigh. Don't let the hip tuck under. Bring the right foot out to the side, open leg. And then we'll reach the right arm forward. Try a gentle bicycle with the right leg. Reaching forward, push away from the floor, lifting the ribs up. Couple more moments here. And then we'll bring the right hand on the inside of the leg, not the outside, the inside. Bring the fingers to the outer ankle. So the fingers reach the outside of the leg. Press the knee forward, widen through the hips. Tip the top of the head down and stretch through the right side of the neck. Gentle pulse forward and back. Moth pose. Right foot, set it down in front of the knee like a figure four. And instead of rounding and tucking under, bring the right hand to the right glute and encourage a lift up once more. Your focus can be slightly in front of your hands instead of down towards your feet. Open the throat, letting the belly open as well. Make sure the left elbow is slightly bent. Exhale, right hand comes down. Release the right ankle, bring the right knee down. Adjust the left knee if you need to. Big circles all the way around. And go ahead and switch direction of your circle. Exhale, slide the hips back. Draw the elbows wide and pull your head forward, pulling the hands towards the knees. Can you lengthen and find more space in the low back, in the entire spine? Next time you slide back, breathe big. Inhale, pull your way forward. Tuck the left toe. Reach the right foot back behind you, keeping that lift through the ankle. Slide the hips back so far. Press the knees wide. Allow the glutes to rise. Dome through the left hand, right ear towards the right shoulder. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, let's bring the left hand to the left glute and gently encourage a lift upward. Letting the belly bow forward. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, reach. Keep that lift in the glute. Now bring the hand to the thigh. Outer leg lifts up, almost like fire hydrant style. Keep the hips broadening and widening through the back. Make sure the right shoulder isn't sinking down. Right elbow presses to the right. And then reach the left arm forward and long, bicycle here, lengthening through the spine. Push the floor away, allow the head to tip, softening the jaw, the mouth. Bring the left arm on the inside of the leg, not the outside. Fingers touch the outside of the ankle. Draw the knee forward and then broaden the back of the hips. Lift the ribs away from the floor. Tip the top of the head downward. Gentle pulse. Exhale, ankle in front of the knee like a figure four. Bring the hand back to the glute. Tendency for most people is to round and tuck under here. Instead, lift the glute and let the belly bow forward. Exhale, slide back. Inhale, pull forward. Last one. Left hand touches down. Left knee touches down. Pick up the right knee, set it back down. Big rib circle here. Exhale, slide the hips back, pressing the knees wide, lift the glutes up. So instead of rounding here, lift the glutes up, let the belly bow forward. Bring the outer pinky edge of the hand down, making a fist. Elbows press wide and allow them to push down into the mat, lifting the back of the heart up. Move the ribs right and left. Breathe. Once the ribs are inflated, now pull the elbows and knees towards each other, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, sliding back. Inhale, pull it forward. Elbows and knees really pull strongly towards each other, and as if you could create extra space between each and every vertebrae in the spine. With the hips and the ribs widening, the belly and the low back can lengthen and narrow. Bring your hands back to your mat. Pull your way forward. Same idea now on your hands and knees. Instead of just kind of sinking down into your mat, not doing anything, press the elbows wide and pull the hands and knees away from each other, creating that extra space, that extra length. Same thing we did standing. Now pull the right shoulder forward. Push away from the floor with the left hand and dome the right hand, bringing the fingernails to the mat. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, tip the top of the head to the left. Lengthen the right side body. Exhale back. Keep an eye on the left low back. Option to stay there or reach the right arm forward and long. Maybe even bring the hand to the head, press the head up into the hand as the elbow draws forward. And if this is all too much, hand stays grounded on your mat. Exhale, right hand touches down. Opposite side, dome left, right ear towards the right shoulder. Lift up out of those left ribs. Push away from the floor on the right elbow. Make sure the right ribs don't drop. Inhale forward, maybe reach the left arm forward. Exhale back. You can slide the hand to the head, press the head up and back as the elbow drives forward. One more one more pulse forward and back. Exhale, release. Walk both hands over to the left side of your mat. Same idea. Dome the right hand. And then make this a little bit bigger. Pull the left hand towards the left hip. So instead of sinking into yourself, find space, find length. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, reach forward. And then on your next one, exhale, sit back, slide the left arm out even further, step the right foot forward, kind of like where we were a second ago in this humble cat position. Reach the right arm forward and long, but it stays low. It's not going to come up towards the ceiling and drop down into the shoulder. Instead, lift away from the floor. Exhale back. Inhale, find space, find length. Bring your right hand down, pick up your left knee and bring your left hip all the way down. Seated side twist, press into your feet, allow the right ribs to rise, arcing the head, and then pull the hands towards the belly, lengthen the spine. Exhale, sliding back. Inhale, find space, find length. Gently walk your way up to a seat on your left hip. Bring your right hand to your right foot. If it feels stressful already, don't bring your hand to your foot. Instead, forearm behind the hamstring, lifting the foot up instead of rounding and sinking down. Press down into your left foot, your left outer hip, and lift up away from the floor. You might hang out right here. If you're craving more length, kick the foot out. And find some movement here. Left arm can float up, reach the crown of the head up and see if you can lengthen the spine away from the floor. If you're more comfortable with your hand on your foot, you do not have to straighten the right leg. It can stay super bent. More importantly than this, think about the belly and the low back more than the leg. Push down, reach the femur bones back, encourage a soft curve in the low back. And then lift up away from the floor. The leg might straighten, it might not. That's okay either way. Try the hand to the crown of the head and now lift up, lengthen the spine even more. Exhale, left hand floats down, bring it forward, come down to the elbow, but make sure the elbow lands in front of the shoulder. Push away from the floor and rise up out of that right side. Wave the leg forward and back. Breathe. Softly release, bring the foot down, bring the right hand down to help you walk all the way back up. Extend the right leg out, and I encourage just the heel to the floor, not the knee. You can flatten, but most of the time people disconnect entirely and they sink down. So instead of this, bring the heel in, bring the knee up a little bit, pull the heel back towards the body, activate the leg, activate the hamstring, the glute, the calf, toes are soft, ankle is flexed. Right hand on the inside of the leg, push down into the left hip, left outer foot, and then lift up high. Most people really want to touch the foot with the left hand and they want to compress down, but compression in the low back when it's already strained isn't great. For me anyway, it's not great. Try the hand on the back of the head, press the head back and lift up even higher, pushing the forearm back, the thigh forward into the leg. You'll find more resistance and you can begin to arc more, but don't drop the right ribs, lift them up high. Inhale all the way up, making your way back to your mat. Slide the heel in and make your way back to your hands, to your knees. This time, slide the hips back and we'll do a gentle roll forward, allowing the low back to move in all directions. Allowing that rounding in. So this rounding sensation feels nice. It feels great. And what happens is when we're injured or when the low back hurts, we round to protect. But if we stay there too long, it creates a lot of pain. If we're moving from a place of roundedness all day, think about how you sit, how you stand, how you empty your dishwasher, how you function through your life. If you're always rounded, it's going to cause a lot of pain. So this practice is meant to bring your spine back to its natural curve and build strength in the posterior chain while doing so. Exhale, slide the hips back, lifting the tailbone, press the knees wide, and then walk both hands over to the right. Dome your left hand. Widen the elbows, make more space for the shoulders, and reach the head forward, arcing up and over your right hand. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, expand. Yeah, one more like that. Exhale, sit back, slide the right hand more in line with the knee and further out, maybe an entire foot or even more out. Step your left foot forward. Exhale, hips root back and then push the floor away. Allow the ribs to rise. The arm stays low. Gentle pulses here. Breathe, widen through the shoulders, widen through the hips, and can you lengthen through the low back? On your next one, press into your left foot, pick up your right knee and bring your right hip all the way down. Left hand touches down to the floor and we're going to arc away from the floor. Let the head drop and the ribs rise. Inhale, pull your way forward. Exhale, reach it back. Press into your feet, push your left foot forward and reach your left hip back. Encouraging that natural curve in the low back to swoop forward a little bit. Softly walk your way up, bringing your hands closer to your hip. Either grab the top of the left foot. Feel free to adjust this right hip. So if it feels like you're not quite in a good spot, adjust. Adjust before we do any more. Left hand to the foot, lift up. If it's stressful, come down. Grab the hamstring, lift. If it's still stressful, keep your foot grounded. Push the foot forward into the mat and focus on lifting here. This is a wonderful first step. You don't need to go anymore, especially if there's pain in the low back. Option 2, lift. Option 3, extend. 4 would grab the toe. 5 would be here. 6, final step is here, but not if, again, if you're rounded, I'll show you the back view. So you can, let me turn this way, lighting. Okay, so if you're here to get the leg to straighten, don't do that. It's gonna hurt your back over time. So instead, bend your knee, come forward and see if you can find a little swoop. You can even bring your right hand to there and feel if the low back is moving in. And then if, only if it's moving in, then extend the leg. Press down into the right side of the body. Lift up away from the floor, float the right arm, find a gentle twist. And if you've been in here this whole time, feel free to come out of it earlier as I was explaining that. Bring the right hand up to the crown, lift up higher. Can the spine be even longer from the tailbone all the way up? Exhale, right hand comes down, slide it really far forward so that the elbow is not directly underneath the shoulder. And the shoulder is not compressing down. Instead, lift up away from the floor. If your leg's bent, you're here. This is great. Wave the leg forward and back, lift away from the floor. Softly bend your left foot. Make your way all the way up to a seat. And again, I really like a bent leg here. It's much more comfortable, much more active in the body too. Heel is pushing down into your floor and pulling back towards your glute. And you could activate and lift the left glute up. Forearm on the inside of the leg, reach up through the right side, breathe big, and find a lift up. The forearm and the knee are pushing into each other. So if they're not, you're gonna sink down, you're gonna stress out the right low back for sure. If you can lift up and take weight off of this right low back, let it do less, and lift up higher, it'll feel better. Bring the hand to the crown of the head. Breathe. And of course you could arc eventually, but not if your low back is stressful and not if you're going to compress into the left side. You want to keep space as you learn to move. So nice. Inhale all the way up. Bring your hands back to your mat and find your way either to your hands and feet or your hands and knees. Find some organic movement. If you're on your hands and feet, push the foot towards the back of the mat. Bend your knee, lift your hips higher. Pull the hands towards the knees. Lengthen and lift out of the low back. Twist your toes to the left. Bring your right hip all the way down. If you're on your knee, go ahead and pick up. Bring your right hip down once more. Just like we did earlier, dive down onto your mat, leading with the head. Diving all the way down. Let's bring the left knee in front of the right. Right hip and knee will move back a little ways. And then pick up the right shoulder, the right arm, reach it further forward. Bring the left elbow down, not just the hand, the elbow. Now pull the elbow towards the hips and see if you can lengthen the low back even more. Press into your feet, flexing your ankles, press into your feet, broaden the back of the hips. If your left knee comes up a little bit, that's okay. Some people panic about that. That's okay. Not a worry. Let the head drop back, arms rise up. Keep pushing into your feet instead of rounding here. You can even check in with your left hand. Can you find a swoop in your low back, a little crevice in the low back, or is it totally flat? Ideally, there's a little crevice in the center of the spine where the spine would move inward. If you were to round your back, it would disappear and be totally flat. Exhale, right hand to the outer left thigh. The elbow is going to pull down. As the leg presses up, you can reach the left hip back even more. Left hand up overhead, elbow towards the sky. Now widen the elbows and reach the ribs away from the hips. Couple breaths. Exhale, slide the hips back. Inhale, find breath, find space. Some people are super relaxed and not active here. I find a lot of benefit from pulsing, from being more active in this posture. Last one. Inhale, both arms up. Catch the ankle on the knee like a figure four. Make your way to your back. Ideally, we don't use the arms to do that. Just building more awareness in the posterior chain, but whatever works. All right. Press into your right foot. Hover the hips just barely. Think more about lifting the belly. Slide the hips right and left. Let the hips sink low, almost brushing the mat as you move. And then without losing the natural low curve of your back, low back curve, set the hips down. Pick up the ribs by pressing into the back of the head, broaden them, set them back down, and now lift the head, set it down. Option one, slide the foot a little bit, right foot a little further away from you, press into the paw and lift the chin away from the chest. Option two, right foot lifts into the air, flex both ankles. Left foot should be flexed either way. Soften the toes though, so the toes are not flexed, they're soft. Press both knees forward and wide and see if you can broaden the back bottom hips. The right leg might reach further away, moving the left leg further away too. Lengthen the belly even more. A little twist with the legs, left arms right. Inhale, reach long, breathe big. Exhale through center, small twist. Legs right, arms left, big inhale, reach long. Exhale, back to center. Bring the hand to the knee, to the ankle, rock it left and right. Set the right foot down. Bring the hands, pull up bar style, up overhead, pressing into the paw of the right foot. So if you kind of relax and the back flattens a little bit, that's normal. Most people do that. But see if you can press into your right foot, let the pelvis tip forward, and you might find that space underneath your low back again. That nice curve in the low back. Let the legs fall as they are to the left. You can rotate your right toes to the left as well. Try pressing into the right inner foot. Reach the right hip back behind you and lengthen the low back again. Breathe. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, legs to the right. You can rotate the toes again on the right foot. Left foot might find the floor, or the inner foot might find the floor. If you bring the inner foot to the floor, try lift the left shoulder off of the mat. Just feels better, I think. Right hand to the left elbow. Pull the elbows apart and almost float in this diagonal space on the right shoulder, the right hip. Can you find a pulse here and lengthen the low back again? Inhale, arms up, legs up. Slide the left foot down. Rotate by reaching the left arm up overhead, rotate to your left side. Slide the hips back so far. It might even be 2 feet. No lie, like really, really far back. Right knee is gonna land in front of the left. Right elbow comes down. Reach your left arm long. Bringing your elbow, right elbow to the floor, push down into the floor. Now pull the elbow towards the knee, encouraging a swoop in the low back instead of a flattening. You can feel the low back if it's totally flat. There's no curve there. Allow the belly to bow forward and lift up. Press into your feet now, and your right knee might lift away from the floor. Let the head drop back, arms rise. Keep pressing into your feet and reach the ribs away from the hips. Left hand to the outer right thigh, pull the elbow down, press the right leg up, right fingertips to the floor near the head. Now widen through the elbows, the shoulders, broaden the bottom ribs. Now broaden the back of the hips. And with the hips broad, the ribs broad, the low back can calm down and find more length and more space. Couple more breaths here. If you tend to overdo, over-tighten, soften. If you tend to be overly soft, find tone in the glutes, space within the ribs. Inhale, both arms up. Catch the ankle on the knee like a figure four. Use your left foot to move your hips, your head to move your ribs, and continue that pattern until you find your way back. Press into your left foot, lift the belly, hovering the hips just barely, swoop the hips right and left. Exhale, hips come down without changing your natural low back curve. Press into the back of the head, broaden the bottommost ribs. So sometimes the ribs will flail up towards the ceiling, trying to prevent that without losing your low back curve. Pick up the head, set it down with the chin lifted. Resist the urge to look at the feet. Option, slide the left foot away, pushing into the ball of the foot, lengthen the belly. Really press the foot away from you and you'll find a great stretch in the belly and the low back. Option 2, pick up left foot, flex the ankles, keep the toes soft, and now reach the legs slightly further out, letting the belly lift. Try to resist the ribs lifting as well, so try to keep those bottom ribs down if at all possible. Small twist with the legs, right arms left. Inhale, reach it long, breathe big. Exhale, back to center, opposite side, legs left, arms right. Inhale, reach big, take up space. Exhale, hand to the knee, to the ankle, rock right and left. Exhale, left foot touches down. Hands either in pull-up bar or give yourself a hug. Wrapping the hands to the shoulders. Let the knees fall as they are to the right. You can rotate those left toes with you to the right. And then instead of kind of collapsing, doing nothing, try keeping tone. Press into the left inner foot. Reach the left hip back behind you towards your mat. Try narrowing and lifting the right knee up towards the sky. Broaden through the back of the hips. Think about your focus on widening the back of the pelvis and lengthening the low back. Inhale, knees up. Rotate the left toes to the left as the legs fall to the left. Your right foot might touch down or the inner foot. I like to lift the right shoulder if the inner foot's there. Left hand to the right elbow. Pull the elbows apart and lengthen the spine. Deep breaths here. Take up space within the spine, within the ribs, within the hips. Often those areas collapse. We don't think about it. They compress, they collapse, and they all of a sudden feel pain and we wonder why. So make them bigger, give them more space, make them longer, broader. Exhale. Release your elbow if it's there. Inhale, legs rise up. Bring the right foot down. Step your feet a little bit wide on your mat. Pick up your hips, set them down, ribs, and then head so the whole body's aligned. If you're not into this pull-up bar, opposite arm cross. If you've crossed your arms, go ahead and cross them the other way. If you haven't, don't worry about it. Press into your feet. Can you find length in the low belly by pressing the it's like the pelvis is rotating this way, if that makes sense. So the front of the pelvis, the pubic bone, is pushing down. The tailbone is lifting up a little bit. That's the directionality we want. Keep pressing into the pause, knees move to the right. Press into your feet, and then take a couple pulses here. Stay on this side for a few breaths. Reach the left hip back behind you. Encourage the belly to lift and lengthen. Inhale, knees rise up. Exhale, feet can rotate, but keep pushing into your feet. Reach the right hip back behind you. Don't let it come off of, don't let it flatten, if that makes sense. If it comes forward, your back will flatten and it's a totally different experience. Reach the right femur bone, the top of it back, the right hip back, as if it's a magnet reaching towards your mat. One more pulse, one more breath on this side. Softly release the hands, extend the legs really long. And then if you were to sleep in this position, I'm going to give you the same adjustments as I would right now, except for if you're sleeping, I would encourage a little or big pillow under your knees to help support the low back. All right. Without the pillow, we can still do the same adjustments. Reach the hands underneath the lowest part of the butt. Lift up, out, untuck the tailbone, and you'll find more space, more length in the belly, but also more compression in the low back. Hang with it for a second. You can press into the back of the head and move the ribs up away from the hips. And if you don't like that, if it's too intense, instead bring the arms up towards the ceiling and lift one shoulder blade at a time, rocking the ribs right and left. Walk the ribs away from the hips, but think about walking the bottommost back ribs away from the hips. And then exhale the arms down if they're lifted. Now lift the head. Set it down with the chin lifted, especially if you're sleeping and you have a big pillow here. This chin tuck, this neck tuck is not going to be super beneficial over time. And with the chin lifted and a little curve in the back of the neck, you'll actually relieve the low back as well. Softly close the eyes. And then focus on your exhale. Make your exhale big, smooth, soft. With each additional exhale, soften little by little. Melting and releasing any tissue that's holding tension. Feeling all the soft tissue melt and release. Scanning from the crown all the way down. Soften through the belly, through the jaw, the shoulders, or any other area that you tend to grip. Refocus on the breath and see if you can keep your attention on the body for the next few minutes. Letting go of your to-do list and being fully present in the body. Taking another scan from the head all the way down to the feet. Notice if they're still gripping. Oftentimes there's areas that remain tense, even as the rest of the body releases. Bring gratitude to those areas. Thank them for everything they've done. And send gratitude. Thank that area. It's trying to protect. It's holding on. so that there's no injury. Send gratitude over and over. Draw the breath to that area for extra support. And just observe what happens. Not forcing a release, a letting go, but noticing any changes. Taking another scan, notice if another area has started overworking to help try to release or do overachieve. Full relaxation here. Now draw your attention back to your exhale. Exhaling fully, smoothly, without restriction or restraint. Keep the breath soft and sweet. Let it go. Check in once more. Notice what's happening within the mind. And let go of any thoughts as if they're clouds passing by. If you have the time and space to stay, please do. Please stay as long as you'd like. If you're feeling ready, just shift your attention in the breath from the exhale to the inhale. Doing nothing more than that. Focusing on that inhale now. Let it grow bigger. Take up more space. Let it fill the body from the inside out, slowly working its way larger and larger. Eventually reaching all the way out through the hands, through the feet, and all the way up into the head. Find some soft, subtle movement within these areas. As it feels right, if it feels right, reach the arms up overhead without compressing the shoulders, so a wide reach. Reach through your right side, through your left side. Reach through the right fingertips down through the right toes, left fingertips down through the left toes. Exhale, bring the feet back to your mat, one foot at a time. Take your time as you roll to either side. And slowly make your way all the way up, keeping the head out of it, the neck out of it. Cool. Hope your lower back feels a little bit of relief. Reach out. You can comment below with anything that you found or anything that came up in your practice. And I will see you guys another time. Have a good one.